Good morning, afternoon, and good night, everybody here. Thank you for joining us here on the Ravori Sports Podcast. For fans like me, like and subscribe for all of our social media content. This is part of our interview series that we've been doing. So we appreciate you no matter where you are. If you're watching on our YouTube channel, if you're watching on our Twitch page, if you're watching on our Twitter page, all of the platforms as well. Right now, like and subscribe. You watching right there. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button to that platform that you're watching, or by all means, you could share the video with everyone you know. All right. And also to Genesis Notary Services. If you are in Winchester, Virginia, if you know. Definitely, we've had so much support for the notary business in Winchester. Thank you so much. I've had a very busy week, so I appreciate all of you out there. I had more calls, I think, this week that I'm just delighted that I'm getting so many calls about this NFL preseason predictions video. It is August 31st, as long as the week before the Terps preview. Terps starting a freshman quarterback, which is a trend in college football this year as well. So definitely check that out. And we have a guest via audio today. We have a guy very excited to talk to. This is talk about Genesis Notary Services. You know, Winchester, Virginia. This guy knows about Winchester, Virginia. This is the voice of the Valley right here. Josh Kirby, the guy from the Valley Vipers in the radio and Kirby on Sports. How are you, sir, Josh, today?
Well, you finally got me. I know it's been a while trying to lock this down, but I appreciate you having me on. The voice of the Valley. That's a very cool phrase you coined for me.
I don't think I'm the only one that says it, brother. I mean, everybody knows like who, the first voice here in town. That's you as well. Josh, very busy. We'll get right to it. You are following the Commanders. I see the Commanders. I know you do a lot of NFL on your channel there as well. This is a very exciting if you're a Commanders fan, I would imagine, right? This has been years. Jaden Daniels has everybody excited. You get Deebo Samuel in the offseason. Talk about what your expectations are for the Commanders in 2025.
Expectations. I think it's going to be a high bar set for this Commanders team last year after the amount of success, which nobody thought that this Commanders team would get where they were last year in the NFC Championship. So it's going to be a high bar set, but you have to go in to this season realizing that all 32 teams have tape on Jaden Daniels and what he can do. So if there's a chance the Commanders have a slight slump, which I don't think really happens per se. I don't think there's going to be any sort of tank or anything like that. Maybe a losing skid, I could see that. But you have to remember, Jane Daniels coming into this league as a rookie, not a lot of people knew what he was capable of. All the teams know what he is capable of now, but some new additions with Laramie Tunsil on the line, bolstering up that offensive line to protect Daniels, that's huge. Getting Deebo Samuel, he's sort of a multi-tool weapon you can use in the slot, or he can run the ball too. So that's something as well. Everybody asks about the Terry McLaurin contract situation, which I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
really know what the holdup is on that, but obviously, he's getting pretty old. He's getting up there, and I think he wants one last big deal. That's just what I think. And the receiver markets, people are paying receivers 30 to 33 million, and it looks like that's not where they're at this current moment. So it's going to be a question of if Terry wants to get signed to the Commanders, if they can work something out. I personally don't think a trade will happen, but for Commanders fans, everything that Terry McLaurin has been through, he is the definition of a true leader on this Commanders team. And I know it's probably going to be very heartbreaking to see Terry go if that happens. So
Why
last
don't you think
night,
a
I'm not,
trade? Why don't you think a trade will happen?
well, just look historically, and a lot of media members, part of bigger outlets, have pointed this out as well. You have numerous people who have requested a trade from different teams over the years. I don't have the list in front of me, but there are a couple big name players who requested trades over the years who are currently still on that team under a new contract. So it's part of the business. I think there's a side to the business where requesting a trade puts more things in motion. So maybe that, but I'm not inside. That's just my thoughts on it.
The McLaurin thing is very odd to me. Like he's already getting what 20 million, 25 million. I don't know what the number is. The fact that he would just what you said about him being a leader is valid because what I think about with McLaurin is the team hasn't been very good for years, right? You finally get Jaden Daniels, you finally get a good team, you're finally in contention, and now you're you know, saying is this the timing of it is just kind of crazy. Like now is like it seems like he's not picking a great time or understanding to be asking for money.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting situation. Then you have him coming back to the facility. He comes out and signs autographs for fans after the first day of training camp, which I attended. His agent was there as well. So it's a really confusing situation, and it's one of those things where I think we'll just have to wait and see what eventually happens in the end.
Yeah, I just it's I just hope that doesn't sink the ship there.
I'll give you
As
an
well.
example. I'll give you an example. You're the Ravens. Lamar requested a trade. He has a new deal.
Lamar, that got extremely ugly, as you know, as a Raven fan. Not just the team and all that, the fan base and all that. That got that's kind of what I'm saying. Like the Lamar situation. I hope it doesn't turn into that it gets worked out. And that got really, really ugly. Although I think all is forgiven now, obviously. I think in time, now that the deal's done. Um, as far as this goes, I think you talk about the Commanders. I think it's two to the post in the NFC East. The Eagles are really good. They were the only team when they played the Ravens last year, Josh, where I said, man, they're significantly better than we are. The only team that includes Buffalo, that includes Kansas City. How good is Philadelphia still in terms of team? Because that's the team you're fighting with. I don't think it's Dallas or the Giants like that the Commanders have an issue with this year. What are your thoughts on how good the Eagles are in terms of trying to repeat Super Bowl?
I said it last year on WUSA 9 when I was interviewed at training camp as a fan. The team to beat were the Eagles, and I was spot on. The team to beat were the Eagles. The Commanders beat them once in the regular season. That was with Kenny Pickett because Jalen Hurts had a concussion in that game. And the NFC Championship, look what happened. The Eagles were the team to beat. They eventually won the Super Bowl. That coaching staff, they're going to have them ready to go. It's got to be the team to beat the Eagles because if not, the Commanders are always going to fall short of the NFC East title. And playoffs did happen for the Commanders, even though they didn't win the NFC East. But still, you have the Eagles o- over top of you, looking down at you, even though you're making big strides in a remarkable season after years and years of disappointment. And it's going to be very interesting to see how much the Eagles improve after winning the Super Bowl last year. And the Commanders, I guarantee you, with Dan Quinn, the coaching staff, they've learned so much after that NFC Championship loss that they can take into this season and learn from that. So it's going to be very interesting to see. But again, I'm just going to say this: the Eagles are the team to beat.
I don't think it's weird that they get the respect. There seems to be a lack of respect for them. Not necessarily them, but when I talk about Jalen Hurts being a top 5 quarterback in the NFL or Sirianni being a good coach, people like there's so much pushback. And I think you got to look at what they've done at this point to say, I don't necessarily think maybe everybody thinks that he's a top 5 quarterback. I am in the top 5. I haven't read ahead of Jane Daniels, coincidentally, like when I did my top 10. But I think the Eagles, I think they have a good leader at quarterback, Jalen Hurts. What do you think about Hurts overall?
I mean, you know what city they play in, right?
They
I mean,
booed the Easter Bunny, man, in
no,
Philadelphia, man. I mean,
I
they
mean
booed Dr.
that's
J.
why that's why, Charles. It's because the Eagles are in Philly and the fan base. There's a negative. There's negativity around the Eagles fan base, which Eagles fans obviously are going to dispute. But I mean, Nick Sirianni, the way he coaches from an outside view, he's just one of those type of coaches where he like he'll talk back to the crowd if the crowd's giving him stuff, whatnot. And that's why there's a lot of pushback, I think, about this. But Jalen Hurts is good. This Eagles team is good. I can't discredit that. It's just some of the fans don't think so because the Philly fan base in what they do, how crazy they are. I mean, they threw snowballs at Santa, I think, one year during a game. But I mean, Jalen Hurts definitely top 10, if not top 5. I'd say he knows how to run the ball. They execute the tush push perfectly, and it's still not banned. So they're gonna keep running that. So that's why the pushback's there. But yeah, plain and simple, this Eagles team is gonna be good, I think.
Excellent point about the city. I mean, I remember Jimmy Rollins years ago for the Phillies MVP season years ago. Team went deep in the playoffs. I think he started out slow in May, and they were booing him off the field every game. Like it is rough to play in Philly for anybody as well. Two more teams in your division. The Cowboys, I think, are a mess. They have some players. I think they're a bit of a mess. The Giants, I think, are maybe getting themselves together, but I don't know if they have enough bullets in the gun. What do you give us a little bit on the Giants and the Cowboys?
Giants, I would watch out because they have an experienced veteran, Russell Wilson. How much he has left in the tank, I don't really know. But having Russell Wilson, that quarterback room is going to be huge. And Brian Dable already announced Wilson to be the starter a couple weeks ago for the start of the season. So that's going to be interesting. They have some pieces. They have Malik Neighbors, a weapon he can throw to defensively. Yeah, looks like they built a little bit through the draft. Not sure how much, but still, it's going to be very interesting to see what this Giants team can do.
Abdul Carter's terrific.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Oh man, he's outstanding. Yeah, him and
I've seen a
Burns
lot.
and that line. Yeah, he's really good. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And Dallas. I mean, Brian Schottenheimer. He was not on anybody's coach's radar. I would assume Jerry Jones and staff saw something out of Schottenheimer that they liked, that they wanted to give him a shot. Dak Prescott, can he stay healthy? I mean, that's the question. The Cowboys signed him for so much money. When he's out there, he can do some good things, but it's one of those things. I'm not really sure. Dallas can come out and have a hot year, they always seem to fall in the playoffs in dramatic fashion and starting all over again. The Micah Parsons contract situation that baffles me as well. I don't really want to get too much into that, but it just confuses me to all ends. And yeah, I mean, I would imagine if I just had to guess, they probably re-signed Micah Parsons towards week one of the season, but he requested a trade too,
Mhm.
similar to what Terry did. They're dealing directly with him instead of calling his agent. A lot of variables in that mix, and I'm like, well, what are we doing? What's going on? So, a lot to unpack there in Dallas, but what it, I'm just looking forward to seeing what they can bring to this NFC East if they're going to try to overcome what happened last year to is sort of put a good product on the field, or there's going to be more of a mess in Dallas. I'm just not sure.
Yeah, I think Dallas. The Parsons thing, I understand it a little bit more than McLaurin. I know what the motivation is in his case. He just saw Myles Garrett what he got. He just saw T.J. Watt what he got. That's his problem. That's why he's stepping on the table saying what he should be getting. So I kind of see where that one is more than the McLaurin thing as well. The Giants, I think, have some players. Yeah, if they can get some quarterbacking, and we don't know if they are, I think there is something there in New York, and that's another place that's they're pretty rough on you. I mean, they're not as bad as Eagle fans, but they're pretty rough on the Jets. I think they're harder on the Jets though than the Giants.
Yeah, I mean, I've been to New York once. Everybody seems pretty nice over there, so I'm not sure about Giants fans, but it just based on what everybody says from an outsider's perspective, the the Philly fan base is the worst from what I'm hearing. So,
Oh,
you know,
there's no doubt. Oh, I'm there's no Philadelphia fans are completely irrational. There's just no other way to see. Even I mean, you just won the Super Bowl. Like you should be thrilled right now. There's some of them still like, well, they should, you know, that's
yeah,
just Philly fans for you.
yeah,
Um,
I get it.
let's talk a little. Let's talk a little bit about the Nats, Washington Nationals. I for the first time, literally a few weeks ago, went to Nats Park. Gorgeous facility. Whatever team is rebuilding. Um, I think the Nets kind of are where they're supposed to be. I think some of the fan base, though, and I'm not following the Nets as much as the Orioles, obviously, seem a little disenchanted or a little disheartened. I don't think I think they're right where they should be right now. I don't think they would be a great team considering where they are in the rebuild. What do you think of the Nets? What's going on with them currently?
Who's worse right now, the Nats or the O's? Both coaches have been fired, and it seems like both teams are sort of in a rebuild. It's kind of crazy.
The Orioles are much worse off than the Nets. Orioles were expecting to be a team contending for the world title, and they are nowhere close. Nowhere close. The Nets are supposed to be still climbing up the mountain. I think they are. Even though, and let's talk about the manager and the GM getting fired. That was surprising. Dave Martinez, he was former Oriole. Um, was it money? That's kind of what I heard a couple places. They didn't want to pay him, continue to pay him what they'd been paying him. I think what was the reason? What was the rationale behind them switching managers? You think?
It was the fact that Mike Rizzo, I don't think would fire him, so they let both of them go. And I heard somebody say that that was actually the case. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's 100% true, but
I heard that too. Yeah.
it's a really good guess. This season for the Nationals, I think we all expected that it wouldn't be a great season. Obviously, they're still rebuilding, getting players from the farm system to see what works best, which you see a lot of positivity from the Nats. I was at opening day. saw a lot of good spark. Mackenzie Gore went out there and had himself a game. The bullpen needed work. But you have some good young pieces, but altogether, you don't have a full team with those pieces that can generate more wins in the win column. And I think the season, towards midway through the season, got progressively worse with how bad they were losing, some of the pieces not performing as such. Yeah, a lot of different variables, and it got to the point where a change needed to happen, and I just think it was the last straw for the learners' ownership. But what doesn't help is when you bring in a new person, you don't have a lot of money to work with because the learners are not forking over money for any players, any talent, which you kind of need in the MLB. And it's just very interesting to see people are asking the learners to sell. I have a lot of
Hmm.
respect for the learners, what they've done in Washington. I think it's nothing like a Dan Snyder in Washington situation, but still, people want them to sell, and the Nats, uh, they want the Nats to go on sale and find somebody else to purchase the team, and maybe that will fix the situation. Yeah, I don't know, but I know that there's not a lot of money being thrown to try to get more and more talent to build this team back to what they once were. Because you look at the pieces they had on that 2019 World Series team, that was huge.
Hmm.
And like, look at the Nats now. Do you see any sort of big name on that team?
Maybe in the future, James Wood. There are some pieces there, like you said. James Wood, Mackenzie Gore, I think is really good. I think C.J. Abrams has a lot of potential and things like that. But you mentioned the learners. I'm glad you brought that up. The Learner family, they are staying in it. Yes, they were selling at one point. Did I get that right? That they did announce that they were no longer going to own it. They were going to sell, and now they're decided not to do that, etc. I don't think they've been bad owners. Certainly, look, Peter Angelo's. If you had to live through 30 years of that, like I'm not going to criticize the learners, but it's interesting to see the way that this is going with the learners. So certainly Ted Leonis is ready at any time to take this over, and especially with the deal not in place with Masson anymore. Where's this? Where are they at with the Lerner family in terms of that?
Yeah, I don't really know, to be honest, because I know they were looking to sell one point, and I think they just nobody was interested in purchasing at the time. I don't really remember, but it's I don't know. I think it's more complicated, which you and me probably won't know. But I just think it's going to be more complicated than the learner saying, "Hey, we want to sell," and finding a buyer. I think it's a lot more complicated than that, and I think that's why the learners have the team still. So if that changes in the future, maybe with Masson out of the deal, it won't be as bad. But it's still, it's pretty much, it's I think it's more complicated than what we see from the outside.
I hear that. Masson also too. I always thought that the Nets they lost so much money with that. They lost so much money with that. I think that's very understated how much money they lost. They were getting the worst part of the deal, which I think in almost any other circumstances, Washington compared to Baltimore, they'd have got 3 times what they were getting. And they kind of got messed around out of that, like often, right? They didn't even get the portion of it that they should have been getting. So I think, yeah, I think they have more value going forward. I think that's part of why you're not seeing some players and things like that, the instability of the TV deal that they had.
Yeah, I don't really understand that whole TV deal situation. I mean, I just turn on Masson and watch him play, and I didn't realize how complicated that deal really was.
Well, the order to get a team in DC, they made it. That was baked in. That was why they got screwed for so long. Like with that, that was baked in. One more thing, real quick, with the Nets is as far as that goes. How do you think this is going to turn around next season for them? Is this a rebuild that's going to continue for several more years, or do you think it's something that can be turned around here real quick?
I would say wait to see who they bring in as the next head coach and see what happens. I think there could be some greater success from this this current year to next year, but I don't know where that is. So I think it's going to be a slow waiting game to see what happens in the future with this organization, and I don't doubt that they can make it back on top at some point. They just need the right pieces in place and getting the right type of players to do it.
All right, so there you go. Let's talk about you real quick, right? So I don't want to just introduce you to the sports conversation here, but I introduce you as the voice of the valley. Everything you've done, you worked in radio. Still, you have your own YouTube page. You're at all the local sports and everything like that. Um, what Talk a little bit about your training, right? What started you doing this? Did you grow up down here in Winchester? You're a little bit younger than me, it looks like. So yeah, did you grow up down here wanting to be in media?
Well, I mean, it started with the podcast and it just grew from there essentially. Pretty much all started with the podcast. I've been recording what? The my personal podcast, Kirby on Sports, and everything affiliated with it now, 6.5, 7 years. I want to say I mean, I can't really keep track. I just can't believe how far that it's gotten. It
Yeah,
all
I hear that.
started. It all started with a conversation on a stone bench out front of Arrowhead Stadium in Stevens City, Virginia. And I mean, the full story is going to take way too much time, so I'm going to condense this as much as I can. But a connection of mine through the football team, Sharando Football, because I was the equipment manager, he helped film and get some content. He's now one of my co hosts, Carlos Martinez, and he comes up with a lot of great ideas for the podcast, which I can't thank him enough. I appreciate what he does, and he brings a lot of great ideas to the table, including the most recent SummerSlam live stream that was on the Kirby on Sports YouTube page. So,
I watched it.
uh,
Yeah.
he, yeah, I forget the exact language, but he was like, Kirby, you should start a podcast, and we were just talking, thinking, and just that idea, it sparked and grew from there. And see what one conversation up until today, how much success it's brought. So it all started with the podcast, and yeah, I can't thank Carlos. A friend of mine, Dan Demski, he helps with the show as well. Comes on during the football season. We went to school together, so um from there just kept finding people to interview, talking about sports and everything, and led into radio. So I started doing some radio, and then I sort of realized that with the podcast I'm kind of missing out on a market, and it's this local market. Shrando, Hanley, James Wood, Millbrook, Clark County, Strasburg. So I decided to start covering local high school sports on my platform, along with what I'm already doing. And my gosh, the amount of success it has brought in. Look at the YouTube page, Charles.
Yeah,
Jameswood Football Media Day, almost 400 views. Millbrook and Shrando just surpassed 100 views. So there's an appetite for stuff like that in this area, which
right.
I I want to say I'm trying to do the best job that I can to accurately promote local athletes of local high school athletics. And I'm a one man team essentially, with Carlos coming out every now and again to help me with some stuff. But for the most part, the amount of high school sports, I can't cover it all, but I'm trying my best to cover as much as I can to spread the love, spread the wealth, and get everybody promoted the best that I can. So that was also an idea of Carlos's too, but I was like, yeah, do I? Yeah, I mean, because in my head it didn't really make sense, but then I was like, I'm gonna start this and see where it goes, and I wouldn't really turn back, and that's why I'm launching Kirby's Kickoff, a new style pregame show for high school football fans each and every week, and doing a lot of stuff with the volleyball teams in the area, and then basketball teams, and so on and so forth, and then getting into spring sports as well. So a lot of success this podcast has given me, and I just like where we're at, and hopefully it will expand and continue from there. But it's pretty crazy. It started with a conversation from my now co-host Carlos Martinez sitting on a stone bench in front of Arrowhead Stadium. From then to now, it's pretty crazy.
I hear you. That's a great story. The great why to go ahead and do that. I agree with you as far as this area, Winchester, being underserved in terms of that, and I was so excited to see that. And I think, like I think I told you pre-show, like you were the first one of all these interviews I've done. My daughter knew exactly who you were. Like as far as that goes, somebody who doesn't watch sports at all. Like she knew exactly who you were. She's seen you at the game several times. She's seen you cover. Yeah, so she was actually happy that I was going to be talking with you today here. So she knew exactly who you were as far as that goes. It is you cover Winchester Royals. I've seen that. That was like for those of you out there don't know, that's similar to what's going to happen in Aberdeen next year, a draft league locally here. I've been watching that for years. And I know you're covering basketball. You were, at least, I think, for the Valley Vipers. When from Winchester, Percival now. I saw that as well. So how much have you enjoyed that part of it, the play-by-play of it? All of us in sports thought about doing play-by-play at some point. How much have you enjoyed doing that?
Oh man, working for the Vipers is the best. I mean, there's a lot of things coming I can't really reveal yet, but a lot of stuff in the works for next season to make it better. But year one in Percival, it was great. It's not that far of a drive from Winchester, so if you're listening and you need to get out to a Valley Vipers game, you won't be disappointed. The play-by-play aspect is amazing. I've learned so much, and it helps with the skills along the way and everything. And it's just a blessing to work for team market owners Tina and Rodney Colbreth. It's a growing basketball league in general in the Vipers year two in Percival. I'm expecting a ton of growth as well, and I'm really looking forward to what is this year four in with the Vipers calling games and working for them, doing various things. So it's been a lot of fun. And then the Winchester Royals, I fell pretty sick towards the back end of the season. I wasn't really able to get out and cover much, but I did some interviews, did some promotions. They had a pretty strong season, unfortunately falling to the Strasburg Express in the second round of the playoffs. Strasburg going on to win the VBL title, but it yeah, I mean it's fun doing stuff with the Vipers and helping out with the Royals when I can. It keeps me involved in sports and something I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, man. I got to tell you, Royals, man. That was one of the that was the best wedding gift I've got. I've been married almost 20 years at this point. And one of the years, like I got like season tickets to the Winchester Rolls. Like I was so excited to get the season tickets to the Winchester Rolls, so I get to go. I got to go to 7, 8 games with that. You're seeing now with minor league shrinking, leagues like this popping up. It's a good developmental tool for these young people out here. And definitely, like, you can see the difference between them and major league players and just their attitude. When I have talked to them, very young men, humble, hardworking guys. It really is a good environment for anybody. What's next for you? Again, you said you can't reveal what's going on with the fight. I don't want you to reveal anything top secret, because I know as a content creator, there's things you got going you can't talk about, don't want to talk about. But where do you think Kirby on Sports or anything else you're doing, where would you like it to go? Where would you like it to go? I think it's a better question for a younger person like you.
That's a very loaded question, Charles. I will leave it at this. I'm taking it day by day, step by step, and the success has come in the past, and I'm hoping for more success in the future because really, I don't really want to speculate on where I want this to go because, yeah, to be honest, to the very tippy top, like, I don't
Yeah.
want to say like Pat McAfee style, but exposure like Pat McAfee would be amazing. But I'm honestly just enjoying the ride and taking it step by step,
Yeah.
one day at a time with my brand, the Kirby on Sports brand, and everything.
Yeah, I hear you. You have somebody else running your social. I know you have a bit of a staff. I know you have. Yeah, I think you have somebody else running your social media. I think so, um, and all that. So I think like your growth. I mean, you could.
What are you talking about?
Oh well, somebody
What
else.
are you talking about, Ben?
The social your Twitter. You have somebody else running your Twitter. You have a team running your Twitter.
No, that yeah, all the graphics and stuff for me.
Oh, okay. All right. I must have got it wrong.
This
I
this
thought some.
graphics I made making everything all man.
Okay, I didn't know. I thought you had a team there.
Yeah, what I'm trying to say that adds to it the designs that I create, the graphics that make it look better and everything. And that's all me too, which takes a lot of time. It's just not sitting there.
Yeah.
You got to brainstorm an idea. And some of the graphics I've made, not the best, but it helps having some good pop and some good graphics to show when promoting Kirby on sports stuff, which is part of the grind too.
Oh yeah, people don't realize that part of it. You are the producer, you are the editor, you pick the topics, you have to do the research, you have to go on camera, know what you're talking about, you have to do that. I can only imagine it with you, like you're doing it in several different forms, like even calling a game, blue, red, starters, defense, but that are so yeah, it's a lot. Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot to do. So
But yeah, I mean, I enjoy it, and it's a grind, but it's seriously so much fun.
I got you. Um, let's talk about one more thing here. Is as far as here at the end, you've had. Where do you see media is really struggling right now overall? I think you've seen what happened just on a national level. Colbert got fired as well. Basically they're putting a machete through the NFL Network as well. Um, media, I think, is really struggling in general outside of podcasting, which is booming. Right? What do you think is the state of the media? What do you think media is in general?
Well, I mean, with ESPN buying out like the NFL digital properties, I think honestly, I think it might help because if they don't, I don't think they're going to overhaul it and make it something completely different. But ESPN's brought in some ideas that has made sports watching and the entertainment behind sports really cool. But I mean, I mean, other than that, I mean, just the state of the media. I mean, I don't really pay attention a lot to know, but I mean, you have like Joe Buck and Troy Aikman on ESPN, and I follow stuff like that, like announcer changes, shifts, and everything. But yeah, I'll tell you, you talk about all this media and maybe some trouble or whatnot. But I'm telling you, the one affiliate, the one station that knocks it out of the park year in and year out, Fox NFL Sunday. They by far run it the best, in my opinion. I mean, obviously some people might disagree, but just yeah, I mean, I think the ESPN NFL deal isn't really a bad thing. I think some people might think it is, but in terms of media from this aspect, Sunday Ticket moving to YouTube TV, that is incredible because when it was locked in with DirecTV, you were screwed if you don't have DirecTV. Now anybody can get Sunday Ticket. And that's what's so great about it because anybody can watch NFL football on any given Sunday with Sunday Ticket on YouTube TV, which I really like that happened. But I mean, other than that, I don't really have much to add on the whole media side of things, except for I think I'd watch and see what ESPN does with NFL digital properties. I think that's going to be, I think it's going to be more good than bad.
I don't think it's a bad deal at all for them. I think NFL doesn't really want to be in the business of media. I think it's more of a lot of these sports league. I mean, media, as you know, is a bit of more of a grind than what people think it is. And so now you get an ESPN, they know how to do it for you, right? You might as well go ahead, put some invest in that, and then have them do it, get everything all squared away for you, and do that. So I don't think it's a bad deal at all. I don't think it'll change much in terms of that, except for they'll have better resources to actually do it, and they'll have a stronger platform for that as well. Thank you, sir. Tell the people where we can find you as far as that goes in your media universe that you're running these days.
Man, Charles, thanks so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. My website, kirbyonsports.com, and you can find me almost anywhere at by Josh Kirby. That's where you can find me on all the socials and the Kirby on Sports podcast as well.
All right, thank you, sir, and thank you all of you for watching us here on the Ravori Sports Podcast. Like I said, like and subscribe to all of our social media content, and thank Josh Kirby, the voice of the Valley, here with all of us. Thank you so much for joining us today. You guys have a great rest of your